Okay, let's go to the next one, which is our alien. Boom, boom. All right, let's turn line drawing off on. I mean, so we could see all the steps I took to render him, because pretty much this layer here is everything about this alien being. So first thing is you have to make a mask layer like this, right? Follow your line drawing. You don't have to be super precise. It is a painting after all, so the line drawing eventually is going to go away. So you can see here it's actually quite loose, where the line drawing and the painting is not precise. I'm not going in there and making a precision outline, for example, going here and doing this like really precise thing, because it's okay. You're gonna paint it, and I want some of that energy in my painting anyways. I don't want to go in there and start making some vector art or some kind of so clean of a graphic that it becomes sterile, that there's no more life in this painting, when you do that kind of work. So it makes things kind of boring as well. So all I want to do is just capture the overall silhouette and create this mask. You can see, so if I zoom in, he's pretty much there, right? And we use a darker value. He's backlit in a certain way, and he's of a very dark alien. All right, and then the details. See, there's a lot of work on this layer, so I'll go step by step and what each one does. See, I actually didn't create any new layers. Everything's kind of together, but even by this layer, you can already see the forms developing. So let me zoom in here. With the line drawing on, this step is a little bit easier to do because I can see the major shapes. So if I start a new layer here, let's just pick a brush here, right? That you can see the cylinders, the spheres, all within this alien here. Like there's a sphere. Let me go to my notes layer here. Pick red so you can see. Okay. All right. He's got some very basic geometry going on here. He has a let me just draw this out so you guys can see. Because one of the best ways to paint is don't go in there and start doing details, because it's a very dangerous thing to do before you get the overall picture. All right, let me turn off his line drawing for a second here so you can see. All right, I just made a layer so that way we can see the shapes that make him up, right? He's actually quite simple. He has a ellipse here, which makes pretty much a cone shape that goes like that. Right, his head is basically a sphere with two spheres as eyes. These are all cylindrical shapes that come out from him. So he's very simple, and then he's connected overall to a cylindrical cone shape here. Right, I'm drawing through right now. That's why this doesn't mean we're looking down. This actually means we're looking up, right? As for cutting him through, his form will go like this. He has got a sphere right here. He's got a stretched out sphere here. And then these are all cylinders that happens here. So that's the basics of his form. So if we're going to put some light over him, like from this direction, which we chose, then we know exactly where the highlight, the shadows are going to go. Right? You're going to get edge lighting on these surfaces because these surfaces are turning. They're round. You're going to get it on these areas. His eyeball is going to reflect the entire environment. This is going to get the ground. This is going to get the sky. Get the ground, get the sky. So if I turn this layer off, you'll see how that's represented in the drawing here, or in the painting. So you can see here the belly area, this part faces the ground, right? Let me go back to red. This faces the ground, so therefore it's going to pick up a lot of this bounce, this warm bounce from the ground and the dirt down here. That's going to bounce into the belly, the same as over here, and then everything up facing the other way gets the sky. Okay, so by doing this, and then you have of course the core from cylinders. By doing this step, your forms start to read. You see, we don't have the line drawing anymore. Even at this early stage, the line drawing basically becomes useless at this point. We already have enough information to start painting. Right? So when I do a painting, I like to get rid of the line drawing as fast as I can, so that way you don't get into the habit of making things very, very tight too early. Because line drawing tends to do that. You have this nice line drawing, you just want to go in there and start rendering these little details out and stuff. But it's unnecessary until you have the bigger picture done, right? And this way, if you're working a production pipeline, you can always turn something in, and that's important. That's a tip for, especially if you guys are students working out there. When you're working at home on your own time, sure, you could do whatever you want because there's no deadline, there's nothing to meet. However, if say you're in an art department, and I'm at this stage now, right? It's 1 p.m. I came into work, I did some stuff, and started. It's only in the afternoon, and you have a director or creative director or whoever you're on the team working with saying, "Hey, look, we have to show this now. We have to put this drawing into a meeting right now to decide if there's something we want to do." Imagine if I didn't have any of this, right? Not even this, because I started with details and all I got was, you know, something that looks like, let me just do a quick dirty example of what that might look like. You know, like you spent all afternoon or all morning all the way to like lunch or whatever painting just the eyeball section like this, right? And then no line drawing. And they're like, okay, let's go show. And that's all you got. You know, even though it's like super, super detailed and really, really nice and refined, nobody else can understand what the hell that is, right? So you have to be careful. In production, we try to do things big scope and then refine. So you can always show things. Okay, so like in this case, you could print this out. Yeah, it's not done, but it has enough information that the at least anyone in the creative industry will start to know what's going on. You know, producers and such, maybe not, but directors definitely. You know, your fellow designers and your team definitely will know what's going on, even at this stage, right? So keep that in mind. Make sure your stuff is always showable at any stage. You stop it, it's showable. Okay. Next, a little bit atmosphere balance to pull out some of the forms. All right, a little bit of blue haze. And I do that a lot throughout this image, constantly balancing the values. See, this layer is the same thing. It's just balancing the values. Bring in more the blue haze because it's quite big. This creature here is what, about almost 500 feet, 700 feet above the air. So he's very, very big. So it's going to start catching, it's like a big building. He's going to start catching quite a bit of atmosphere all through his body here. Right, because you got to see a human in this painting, the scale is like, no, you can barely see him. About maybe that big, maybe even not that big, maybe somewhere around that size, the red I'm doing. That's probably the scale of a human being in this painting. So if we just start panning up, you can see how massive this thing becomes. Yeah. So quite big. So I should say maybe even 1,000, 1,500 feet in the air, something like that, right? Very, very huge. You can see, you can't even see the humans at this point. All right, so we're gonna add in, and now we have all the values. We can start bringing in some of the detail lighting. So here's all my highlight rim lighting. So these are surfaces are basically like a radius. They're compressing highlights together, so they become very, very bright. So I'll make a quick note about what that means, right? So when you have, let me turn off some stuff here so you can see. Let me turn him off. Okay. So what I was doing earlier is, for example, you have a surface like this, right? This is a side of a cylinder, for example. Right, here's a profile of it. So these are more rendering tips. Right, let's just leave it like that. Now, when say this is reflective, it's a reflective surface, then whatever the horizon line here, say the horizon line is here, right? So that's our horizon, and then this stuff up here will be sky, here will be ground, right? So if you have something that's bright, like the horizon of a sky, right? It'll probably eat up about this much room because this cylinder needs to reflect all of this, right? So if you have a sun in here, you could probably see it, you know, the little round circle here. But imagine if the shape is more compressed. Imagine if it was like this. It's a compressed radius, right? Now all that information that's from here to here still needs to be inside here, but it sees even more. This shape could actually get more of the environment. So all of this fits into about a space about this big here. And then the rest of this is new stuff, the stuff that this shape couldn't reflect. This one can. But as a result, this hotter horizon point, I should say, is highly compressed. So it becomes way more reflective than, say, this one because it's compressing a lot of stuff together. Right? So the more light and all that kind of stuff, all that's going to get added together. So as you look at the shape from far away, it'll become like this white highlight, you know, say if it's daytime stuff. So you see this on a lot of sports cars and those kind of things that have very shiny and compressed radiuses. Anyways, let's go back to our character here. Boom. Oops, what layer did I just draw those red things on? Okay, good. Delete that. Hopefully I didn't draw anything useful. Nope. Okay, good. Sometimes you draw the wrong layers, like whoops. Okay. And then more details added. So here I'm starting to define the eyeballs. Let me just zoom in here so you can see. Still fairly loose, but definitely a lot more tight than the previous stuff that I was showing you guys. Go in there, extracting out some details already. You can see the forms are starting to read this belly area, these little spikes that kind of hover around it. Okay. Let me pause Photoshop for a second before memory gets too crazy, but let me just zoom out so you guys can see where we're at.